Hello, everybody. My name is Puppetine, and I am here today with Batman.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's just Batman. Bat Arnold has adjusted his voice modulator, and thus he is just the
Batfleck.
Mm-hmm. Batfleck, your Batfleck.
This is Batfleck.
Okay, this is Batfleck. Well, we are here today.
I was gonna say real quickly, you're gonna notice that I got a little gray hair. It's been a couple of years since the movie, and my voice is not the same. A lot of drinking, a lot of smoking.
We are not going to get into that, sir, but we also have another guest with us joining right now. Say hello to Dalton the Authenticator. Hello, Dalton.
Good evening, everyone. Also, Bankman, you sound more like Christian Bale's Batman than Batfleck. Batfleck actually had the good sense to use a voice modulator and therefore didn't need to censor his voice every time he spoke.
So is a critic.
It is literally my job. Like, on my Twitter profile, you can go and look. It is part of my job.
Well, speaking of being critics, today we are here to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. It has been a long fight for a lot of people, but they have asked for the Snyder Cut, as it was called, for years. And
even if Snyder himself disavowed them afterwards, which just oof.
It is a complicated situation. I only looked into it occasionally because I didn't think there would be any traction. I didn't think this would ever happen, but here we are. We have a 4-hour movie now that's the full Snyder Cut.
Honestly, I think it's kind of funny how like half of the negative reviews for the Snyder Cut are all they gave the fans what they want. How dare you actually cater to your fan base, Like, go to Rotten Tomatoes, and I guarantee you, like, 2 out of every 3 negative reviews is just, how dare someone actually indulge the fans and give them what they want? This is unacceptable because reasons.
Well, I suppose I'll go ahead and get things started. Let me make this clear. For a good portion, we are not going to discuss any spoilers, except the biggest spoiler of them all is that there's not a lot of spoilers. See, this entire situation, anybody that was following, a lot of Zack Snyder's shots did end up making it into the 2017 movie.
Yeah, they were just edited to hell.
Mm-hmm. They were, and they were brightened up, and they were thrown in with a bunch of scenes by Joss Whedon, who decided, hey, what if I just made another Avengers movie and put a DC paint?
Close the door.
Yeah. This is the exact demonstration of why DC and Marvel
Close the door.
Opposite sides of the same coin rather than the same thing. And incidentally, it would be nice if Hollywood could get it in their head that just because superheroes all exist within the same universe doesn't mean they have to all have the same themes, the same character points, or the same tone.
Well, there is a point to that, though. Just because they're in the same universe, they do not. But it's very important when you have a series of movies done by a film director that they do all feel the same.
But the world can feel the same, and the directing style can feel the same, but the characters themselves don't all have to be the same. I.e., we don't need to turn Doctor Strange into Iron Man, or anyone else into Iron Man for that matter. It works perfectly well for Iron Man, but it doesn't work for other characters who are different than that character.
So we're not talking about Marvel today.
Because I'm me, that was the first thing I came to. But keeping it to DC, they have the same problem too, in that every character does not need to be Batman.
Well, I really don't see that in this movie, especially because talking about this movie, what we really get is just more for each character. Each character feels important in their own way, and that is what's different about this movie in 2017.
Yeah,
The
it's not
performance.
edited down horribly is the thing, because there were about 3.5 hours worth of content shoved into about 2 hours of movie in
Yeah.
2017's case, and it didn't work.
Well, companies they tend to cut down the director's visions all the time, but
Yeah, and
this
if the Snyder Cut proves anything, it is that it confirmed that DC is their own worst enemy when it comes to movies, because every mistake that it's not as though Zack Snyder is a perfect filmmaker by any stretch of the imagination. He has his own issues and so on and so forth, and you can hang most of the problems with Man of Steel on him. But that being as it may, a good half or so of the problems that DC had establishing the Snyderverse was their own lack of faith in their own content, was basically the issue.
Okay. Well, we're going to now that I've given some of my thoughts and you've given some of yours, we're going to go to Batman. Batman, what did you think of the Snyder Cut? No spoilers, just how you felt watching the movie.
Felt it was long. It could have been a little shorter, but I'm kind of enjoying it. Yeah, getting more screen time. Alfred gets more screen time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Was watching it though. It was kind of lagging for me a little bit though, so it went on for at least 8 hours for me. Yeah.
Well, I kept getting interrupted, so I had to keep stopping it. It took a while for me too, but I did eventually get through it.
I went from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning watching it.
That probably was part of the problem then.
Wasn't so bad.
I watched it in the afternoon into the evening. That was, I think, a much better time to be watching something like that.
Well, we are what I watched when I watched it. Like I said, I kept getting interrupted. I brushed up today watching some of the scenes to get ready for this stream. I also watched the 2017 Justice League. The Justice League, if you will.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't.
I will say, though, I was kind of surprised when they showed Cyborg's penis.
No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Even if it did, that would be a spoiler, Batman.
How much smaller? It's kind of...
We're also... let me go ahead and turn to some comments. We have Zach Richmond. Hello, Zach. Nice to see you. We see Maranya. Hello, Maranya. How are you? Ed Brewer. And, of course, how can I forget? We had Snatch Face the Fool at 6:30. I don't know if he's still here. But if you are, thank you for watching. Well, we have Maranya.
She's engaging in a conversation with me that I don't think we can have. So,
no, we
right
can't
now.
have it because it's
we're not talking about Marvel at all.
universe.
Marvel does not exist in this. They're too bright and happy. We are depressed and angry. We fight in the rain.
Yeah,
which leads to a point. This movie.
Yeah, Whedon blows.
Whedon did that. That's what he did. When he took over Justice League, he decided, I'm going to make an Avengers movie.
Well,
and
the thing of it is, they invited Joss Whedon in at the start of the MCU so that they would have that Whedon-esque tone. And that's the thing about Joss. Joss cannot mold himself to the material. He has to mold the material to fit himself. Which works if it's an original IP like Buffy, or it's something that he's allowed to have his fingerprints on the whole way through, like with the early part of the MCU. However, because of how diametrically opposed Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon's styles are, that was probably the single worst attempt at fitting to a mold that neither of them fits that you could have had, because they're basically direct antitheses of each other. and to some extent that can be good, and to some extent that can be bad. For example, I think that Zack Snyder, no disrespect to the Snyder Cut, because it's still a better movie than any of the other Snyder universe movies, because it hasn't been hacked to shit by the studio or meddled with. But he needs to get over himself. This whole bastard love child of Carl Jung and Ayn Rand thing he's got going needs to fucking either die or be used on a character that it actually makes sense to be used on. Like, for example, The Question. I would kill to see a Zack Snyder The Question movie. That fits his sensibilities like a glove, but unfortunately his sensibilities don't need to be applied to literally everything in a given universe.
I just want Zack Snyder just directing a Batman film. That's it. He's good at doing the dark stories. I believe it was also him that worked on Dawn of the Dead.
Well, the problem I foresee with him doing a Batman story is he only seems to like comics insofar as they are for lack of a better word, the deconstructionalist comics. And that's not, and in this case, I don't mean that as a bad thing. I mean, in terms of the 80s, when, Watchmen and V for Vendetta and Frank Miller's whole oeuvre with Batman, those comics appear to be the comics that really caught his eye and really resonated with him. And mad respect for him for that, but you can't take a willful deconstruction universe and apply that same standard to the actual proper universe. Zack Snyder, it appears, doesn't understand heroism for heroism's sake. He doesn't understand idealism, and part of that is because he is a Randian objectivist, or his version of a Randian objectivist, which is not exactly the same.
I disagree. His cut of Wonder Woman in the bank scene was way better than what we got in Wonder Woman 1984.
Well, yeah, duh, but that was because Patty Jenkins almost has the exact opposite problem. She understands the heroism.
I never really understood.
I
never really noticed that a lot of people died in this movie.
Yeah, no. If you watch the 2017 Justice League, you're not going to get how serious this all is in the movie. Steppenwolf is a joke in 2017 Justice League. In this, he has a story. He has growth. He has a goal. We know exactly what he's going for, and he's not going to some boxes and saying, "Mother, please," the entire time.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's exactly what Steppenwolf was in 2017.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was bad. He's better here. He's so much better here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this movie is allowing the vision that was originally intended for it. It took years, but we got a damn good movie.
We did. And again, it makes me wish that all the other Zack Snyder affiliated DC movies weren't hacked to the bone. Because honestly, if you look at, like, for example, the extended cut of BVS, it's much better than the theatrical cut of BVS. So one wonders if they did just let Zack Snyder go hog wild with his everything needs to be an epic approach to things, how much better off would the DC universe at large be? Now, granted, had the Snyderverse worked, we probably never would have gotten the likes of Joker or Aquaman or Shazam, and those are good movies. But maybe if they let Zack Snyder be the Kevin Feige of the DC universe and let him go hog wild with his sensibilities, kind of like Disney does with Kevin Feige, things might be better off if they just let him do his own thing instead of fixing things every 5 minutes.
I'm going to go back to some comments. Marania says that she doesn't like the DCEU being made into Frank Miller's Frank Miller's Dark Knight or the Nolan verse.
Yeah.
She says that Batman is dark. Absolutely is. But Superman is not, neither Wonder Woman or Aquaman.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, not every character needs to be Batman. Batman is wonderful and brilliant, and all hail the Bat God and so forth. But not every character needs to be Batman.
I,
There are
I
there are characters for which that sensibility makes sense. Like, for example, Question. Or outside of DC for a second, if Zack Snyder made an Alric of Melvin movie, oh my God, would his mytho-philosophizing approach and his Randian values work so well there? It wouldn't even be funny.
well, I find myself agreeing more with Zach here. He's saying when we pick up with Wonder Woman and Batman, they're building themselves back up following the events of Batman versus Superman. He says and Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman is kind of set years
Yeah,
ago. So,
it's long before and a completely different tone, and honestly, yeah, probably should be.
but he also says Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman are all striving towards being heroes, and he's absolutely right.
And side note, oh my God, was Cyborg handled better here in that they actually gave him a plot, and a character arc that made sense.
Listen, the situation I did not follow. I have to say, between the two performances, though, Ray Fisher has a whole lot more life here than he did in the 2017 Justice League. His acting was flat in 2017. And I don't know if it was just because I'm working for Joss Whedon now. Or
Well, he had to play within the rules of Joss's style, and Joss's style is very much still to this day the Buffy speak style, and I don't think again it's a matter of square peg trying to be fit in a round hole situation, and you couldn't get a square peg or a rounder hole for this exchange to have to try and work with.
Did you notice that in the
don't work.
Did you notice that in the 2017 version, Ezra Miller is pretty much Xander from Buffy?
I mean,
mixed with a little bit of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, and I think now is the time where we're going to start delving into specific scenes. We're going to get spoilery now because we have to expand our points here. Flash in this movie was less of a joke than he was in 2017. Absolutely.
He was still the comedy relief. He was still the comic relief, but he was much more. Yeah, he was much more of a well-rounded comedy relief that you actually ended up liking to an extent. He was still a little bit spastic, but I think the point was he's supposed to be a modern day nerd, and modern day nerds very often get diagnosed with high functioning autism. I think that's the spastic nature of him. I think it was supposed to be high functioning autism. I might be reading a little bit too much into it there, but that seems to be the approach that Zack Snyder was going for. And if I'm wrong, then may I be struck by lightning.
Marania's saying that she really wants to start drinking because of this stream. I'm sorry, Marania. I don't mean to make you want to drink, but
no, I think she's saying because of the drinking games.
Yes,
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm trying to add some levity here, but I think we're absolutely touching on some points. Batman, I know that you aren't the biggest fan of Ezra Miller's Flash. Do you want to give us your exact thoughts?
My exact thoughts in 2 words. Hard pass. He came off. Is he supposed to be Barry or is he supposed to be Wally? He came off as a combination of both of them. And it was horrifying because the fact he's like, hey, you think you're talking to Cyborg, you think you could have been a good word so I can, maybe, start dating Wonder Woman? He's like, dude, everyone's, younger than her. She's 5,000 years old. And I was like,
yeah.
we don't need that comedy. The Flash is not a teenager around the Justice League. That's Kid Flash.
Yeah, it would have been better, I think, if they had just gone with Wally, especially because Wally is the Flash that a lot of my generation grew up with. But
they couldn't because he's too busy murdering people in the DC universe.
But anyway, yeah, I think it would have been better if they had gone with just straight up Wally and it alluded to the previous Flashes also would have helped.
I gotta say, they expand on here. There's a scene where he's pretty much applying for a job at a pet store, and for whatever reason, he's not using his suit yet, even though he has it in his lab. You know, a little secret bunker that he has, a warehouse. Apparently, nobody's discovered it. He turns the power on. You're like, hey, who's going in this private property? So anyway, he goes and he saves Iris. They have a moment. He corrects her hair as she's flying out of it because some guy dropped his burger while he's driving a semi-truck. She's driving, doesn't see it. She smacks the side. He runs out. His hot dog stand got hit. He grabs a hot dog, puts it in his pocket. I'm thinking, is he going to eat this right here while, he's doing this and save her? He sets her down as time catches up to him, and she stares at him, and then he runs away. He's back inside the pet store with no shoes on by the dogs, and he's feeding him a hot dog.
Yeah, because he picked one up.
That was stupid.
No, it was clever because he was trying to get the job.
He shouldn't have had the job at all. He should have been going for the job. He should have already been CSI. He should have been the whole crap that they got to have him as a kid doing all this stupid stuff. They'll try to lighten up the movie. That's a Joss Whedon move.
No, because we saw the Joss Whedon version of the Flash.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was worse. And also, even Zack Snyder does occasionally do comic relief. As self-serious and operatic and quasi-grandiose as he wants to make everything, he does understand there needs to be at least some aptitude for pathos. And so much the better. And also, it does kind of make sense for Flash to be younger because it shows sort of the generation gap between all of them. I mean, you've got Wonder Woman who's been doing this for 1,000 years and so forth, and then you've got Bruce, who is apparently a retired Batman, which I feel was a mistake, but that's what BVS gave us, so that we got to play the ball where it lies. Then you've got Cyborg, who is this former college jock mixed with mother box technology, who's still getting over his trauma and still being thrown into things. And then presumably you would have had Barry, or should have been Wally, getting his powers a couple months ago and figuring all this out off screen, and now here he is.
The main problem is if you're gonna have Barry in there, you gotta have the Green Lantern so they can do be friends and be buddies, joke around. Just having one of them just ruins it. If you want to see a better movie,
I know, but
Green Lantern, go watch Justice League War.
We have enough to unfuck with DC's own executive meddling to worry about the Green Lantern right now. As much as I do agree that the Lantern should have been involved with this, especially because a Lantern was apparently involved previously in the ancient fight with all the gods and the heroes and so forth. Also, that just logistically, that does tick me off. Diana being there kind of makes it better because she is, a demigoddess technically. But mother box technology or no, and Atlantean or no, you're telling me that these 7 or 6 or however many schmucks are equivalent to several different pantheons of gods. I'm sorry, but even putting Superman on that level pisses me off because Superman is not a god, and should not be treated as one. But that's again playing the ball where it lies because Man of Steel fucked that whole theming up royally.
Well, I gotta say though, with all the gods, great gods, there's a lot of inbreeding, so they're not as powerful as you think they are.
Well, I mean, yes, and you can make the argument that they're getting progressively weaker because the Titans were stronger than them and the Primordials were stronger than them and so forth. But point being, if you wanna say that Superman is on par with a god, fine, and you want to say that Wonder Woman is on par with a god because she's literally designed to be the god killer, fine. But that still leaves maybe if you put together Flash and Cyborg and Batman and Aquaman, maybe they could be equivalent to one god, and yet entire pantheons were here the last time around, and they just barely apparently managed it. And I'm just sitting here also
But it's worth
Also,
mentioning.
Steppenwolf is technically part of a family of gods as well. So don't give me that. Well, he's not a god either, so that evens it out. But no, it
No,
doesn't, because
I
as
do.
as they establish in Multiversity, and also they take inspiration from that here. Whether you want to throw in the techno god thing or not, Darkseid and all of the denizens of Apocalypse are literal deities. They're supposed to be the next generation of deities. So, yeah.
I do want to point out that Dalton does seem to have a point, only because they made freaking the gods stronger and just kicked the crap out of Darkseid, and then Darkseid doesn't even come out to face these guys. They made him Darkseid super weak, and I don't like that at all, because Darkseid is much powerful than everyone else. Only Superman could go toe to toe with him.
So when we
and even that sometimes gets my goat, because Darkseid is supposed to be a multiversial entity, and yet somehow this punk Kryptonian supercharged by solar radiation can stand toe to toe with him.
But in this movie he didn't. In this movie, Darkseid in the flashback, because it's not Steppenwolf who is the big bad like they did for 2017. Darkseid is the big bad. It's just that Steppenwolf is, well,
essentially the herald of Darkseid, if we want to use that sort of mythos, which works perfectly well.
He's trying to prove himself, but because he's betrayed Darkseid, so he has to conquer planets.
It also makes sense, because Darkseid has a whole planet of, honestly, like super, like every denizen of Apocalypse, if we want to get technical, should be at least a threat to the entire Justice League.
No.
Like Granny Goodness alone would be able to do it.
If you're watching this movie, absolutely, Steppenwolf was a threat.
Yeah,
felt that. Every character felt that, and you could tell.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, it does make sense for Darkseid to send underlings, because you have a whole planet full of basically what amount to Power Rangers villains. Use them,
Well, see, I didn't mind that opening scene. I understand that Darkseid is a real threat, but he was much younger, and he was coming to the planet, and he wasn't expecting as much of a fight as he got. And yes, he did get hit, and he was dragged in, but at least it wasn't Steppenwolf, the destroyer of worlds, who went mad because his troops pulled him back into his ship.
Yeah, that whole stick was. Yeah.
Point being is that Darkseid, all they do is use Omega beams. They all would have been dead.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's towards the end of the movie.
Well, it's not really a spoiler, because everyone knows that Darkseid's going to show up, and everyone knows that Darkseid's thing is the Omega beam. So yes, we see the Omega beams at one point during the end of the movie. They don't really get used much, but we do see that he has them.
You know why? Because we see through Cyborg, who is about to revive Superman, because that plot is still in there. He's using the mother box, and he's getting flashes. He's seeing the world basically destroyed. He's seen Darkseid coming, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because his technology is mother box technology, so he can still he can utilize it, which actually does help the power scaling problem a little bit, considering that not only does he have mother box technology, but he has mother box technology put together by apparently one of the world's most renowned experts on robotics. So I will give them that Cyborg should be OP, and I do like them making him OP, because honestly, as powerful as Cyborg is technically, or should be, nobody ever seems to use him for anything, and I like the way they end up using him here because of that.
Well, you do make a point, and it leads to another point, which is when you have a team like this, the threat level has to be raised. And it absolutely was. It's the same villain, but he feels far more threatening in this movie.
Yeah, because Zack Snyder doesn't shy away from the apocalyptic imagery. No,
Yeah.
no pun intended. Apocalypse, you know. But
Did you notice how much gore there was? People just getting their heads smashed in. Even from Wonder Woman in the bag scene, she threw a guy and his head just smashed against a wall and there's blood everywhere.
yeah, which honestly, if the Justice League is going to assemble, and it's a threat more powerful than any of them can face on their own, it should be something that's in danger of being an apocalypse. Hell,
I'm just saying Zack Snyder decided, you know what, I'm gonna make it more adult, more realistic. If they're gonna be throwing guys, Wonder Woman doesn't care. This guy's trying to kill children. She doesn't care. She's just gonna smash her heads against wall and just leave gore and blood.
I mean, she's a weapon designed to kill gods. You think
this movie was not designed. This movie Zack Snyder designed. It's not for kids at all.
No.
This is more for adults. This is more for those who enjoyed the comics.
That being said, I think kids will really enjoy it, and I don't think I don't think there's much here that a mature kid couldn't handle.
Well, I say it's not meant for kids. I'm just saying it's not Avengers.
No, yeah, it's not a lighthearted family romp.
It wasn't inspirational. I gotta say that much because Superman coming back he just passes up the red and blues and just puts on the black, which I always thought was dumb in the comics. I prefer to have him the red and blue.
They don't go through the process of explaining why the black suit, and also I agree. I've always been a thought of like, wait, if the black suit supercharges his ability to channel solar radiation, why does he wear anything else? Because it like the way it's explained in the comics is it literally optimizes his ability to channel solar radiation, and I'm sitting there like, okay, so you have a suit that makes your powers even more awesome. So why do you only wear it when you're injured? Shouldn't you wear it all the time, and then you'll presumably be powerful enough to not be injured in the first place?
Well, the funny part is that there's no sun the whole entire time. He had to go up and then catch the gun in space. They say there's as much sunlight. Apparently, that's enough for him to go down and fight.
Well, I mean, he has also been storing solar radiation for his entire life, so I'm sure he can. He's not a solar battery. He can go in afternoon without getting direct dosage.
We don't really know how much. You know how long he's been dead, buried in the ground, away from sunlight. We don't know how much he has left stored in there.
He's been there
again, it's a lifetime versus a few days without direct exposure, and even without direct exposure, there's still a lot of ambient sunlight, even if it's not direct. So I that part I didn't mind because it's just like, as long as he's not being directly dosed with red sun radiation or kryptonite, he should be fine. Like he can fly from the Earth to what used to be the remnants of Krypton and back without it being a huge issue. So I'm willing to give it that it's just not an issue because he's been storing it.
Superman is a powerful figure. That's a thing in basically any universe. He is the most powerful figure of the DC universe, pretty much.
The most power. I don't even want to get into the whole power scaling thing with Superman because my personal thing with Superman has always been one of my favorite lines from the DC animated universe was in the episode Hand of Fate when he's facing off with Karkul, who's basically a chaos god, and Karkul says, "You are strong for a mortal, but a mortal is all you are. You do not have the tools to defeat me." That is exactly why I hate this whole Superman is a god or like a god thing. No, he's not. There are literal gods within the DC universe. Stop fucking.
And that's why DC needs
everyone.
That's why DC's next movie needs to be the New Gods.
Well, I doubt that. See, that's
they're gonna make one because they've been planning to make one with Ava DuVernay for a while. So yeah,
if they make it, I guarantee it'll be better than this crappy Eternals movie.
Oh well, yeah.
I am of two minds on that because
the reason I say it because no one knows who the freaking Eternals are. They might,
Yeah, but the Eternals, honestly, and I hate to be the one to say this because I'm one of the 5 people on the planet who actually does know enough about the Eternals to possibly give a shit.
No, but you're going to be pissed off because they're not going to do your version you want. That's my point.
But the reason for the Eternals movie is not the Eternals themselves. It's as much as I wish they got the respect they should have and so forth, and it's kind of like with the Inhumans. They're not the point. The point of the Inhumans was we need to do mutants without doing mutants, so let's retrofit these guys. And in the case of the Eternals, the point is we need to introduce Celestials and actually do something with Celestials finally, and also let's use this as an opportunity to talk about the ancient history of the Marvel Universe. That's the point of the Eternals. And again, no disrespect to the actual characters of the Eternals, but that is essentially what the Eternals movie is for. It's here's the ancient history of the Marvel Universe. They're probably going to do Elder Gods because they got to tie in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness somehow, and that's the best way to do it. They're going to tie in Marvel's version of Camelot because they've got Black Knight in there, and that's confirmed. So yeah, there's that. And they're finally going to do something with the Celestials because my guess is that the next Thanos-level big bad that warrants an Avengers threat is probably going to be a horde of Celestials. That would be my guess. And also, it sets up Elder Gods for Doctor Strange 2, which is, lovely synergy and everything is wonderful. I do think Eternals is going to be good, and I do think that you can't tell based just on the content which movie is going to be good, especially because we have Ava DuVernay behind New Gods. And honestly, as much as I love the wackier side and the more cosmic side of both comic book universes, the New Gods are annoying because they're stuck between 2 worlds. They want to have the techno gods, ancient alien sort of vibe to them, but they also want to make them actual deities. And it's the same problem with Darkseid. They never commit to, is he an actual god or isn't he? Is it the ancient alien style of god, or is it an actual multiversial, non-physical entity similar to the Endless or so on and so forth? And honestly, my approach would be just, fuck it, they're gods, like actual gods, and they use technology. Like maybe better yet, have the New Gods be the gods of technology, because that would make sense given how reliant on advanced technology human beings are becoming. And a new variety of gods being born out of that or causing that to manifest because they were born does make sense. But this whole middle ground where you're trying to play the game of, well, maybe they're ancient aliens, or maybe they're just aliens with a lot of power and advanced technology, or maybe they're actual gods. Pick a lane, DC. And don't make the fucking Thor mistake of the McClark's Law bullshit. Go with it. You have a universe that actually has mysticism and cosmic shit in it. Just play the ball where it lies, goddamn you.
While Dalton takes a breath.
Sorry, that rant has been coming for a very long time. That fucking annoys me.
It also went for a very long time.
It did go for a very long time, but just
I've been repressing that anger for a long, long time.
We have Skip and Tosh. Hello, Skip and Tosh. How do you do? Eric Breen is with us. Snatchface says Snatchface wants you to turn off the voice modulator. Bad Arnold, do you think you want to?
Give us a super chat.
Give us a super chat. Well, I don't know if you can do super chats on us, but we also have. I think that's everybody. Okay, I haven't mentioned anybody new. We have a lot of conversation going about the New Gods, but
for those who are in the group, if you want a link, or actually, if you want to jump on, if you watch the movie, you're welcome. We can post a link in the chat.
Actually, I'll do that here. There we go. If anybody wants to join, discuss the movie, if you've seen it, of course, then come on. The link's right there, and we'll be happy to have you. We can have up to 6 people, and we only have 3. We have a whole panel to fill.
You would think the guy who's a puppet would talk more than me, who doesn't talk at all, really much. And then
it's 9, by the way. The new limit of StreamYard is 9.
That was 10.
This is weird.
What you talking about? Oh, Zack Snyder. Hey, are we live? Hey,
yes, we are live.
Yeah,
I literally just got home. So
well, welcome home, sir.
Yeah, I'm editing a video that's going to go on Old Man Comics and Extreme Movie Show as well. So, holy Toledo, how far are you guys in?
Well, we were just giving our thoughts. We were just getting into some spoilers, and we haven't talked about the final fight yet. So I think we're going to save the final fight a little bit. If you just want to catch up, tell us what you thought of the movie.
Okay, just overall thoughts. I thought this was absolutely better in every way. Unfortunately, that's not a high bar to set, so just saying that doesn't mean quite much. But that being said, what really gets me is about the 1 million little things throughout, not only just the new stuff, but just like the old scenes that had one little bit changed or a little bit here that had been expanded on. One of the things that really got me is that in the theatrical version, Batman was kind of what do you guys call it when they're nerfed? And here he's a badass again. You know, the whole ending of the theatrical cut where I guess it's the final fight, but where he's driving his car just seemed like, okay, what the freaking hell is Batman up to? This time you get everything laid out, everything was done, and it just, Batman was awesome again. Now, before that, like all leading up to it, I know Joss Whedon is taking a hitting. He's taking a real knockdown because of his cut, but he was given orders to cut this down to 2 hours. There's 4 hours worth of movie here. I got to tell you, I watched it and I'm loving this. This is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. But if I were given the order to cut this movie down to 2 hours, Cyborg has to go. You really can take his story out, adjust a few things, and boom, you've got the movie. And that's one of the sad things.
I earlier made the point that this movie demonstrates more than anything that the worst villain in the DC universe is the DC executives themselves.
Yeah. Oh, Warner Brothers. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a moment because we have another person. We have Zach with many last names. His name isn't popping up, but
I can't be here. Then I can't be here with him. I'm just kidding.
Oh my. He's literally leaving his room.
Wow. One of his biggest customers. No, just kidding.
He probably just had to use the bathroom.
No, he's back. He has a drink.
If he's going to be here, I need a drink.
Okay,
I'm losing the battle to soda.
I think,
whoa, I was kidding. Come back on, Zach.
Oh, no. You pushed him off, Englantine.
No. He can't possibly have taken that seriously.
No,
sorry about that. Yeah, that was the issue. You can ask Ash. I have a lot of those.
I thought that everybody was improved. Granted, Wonder Woman probably less than everybody else. Although I did like the bit where she gets the arrow and she goes down into the caves, the whole 9 yards. I thought that was kind of cool. So, the guys, check out the video I'm going to be doing because it is literally from yesterday when I saw it. I watched a chapter. I said something. I watched a chapter. I said, so it really is me going, well, this is what we saw, blah, 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 blah. So you're getting a first reaction. What I think is funny is the second chapter where you see Darkseid. It's instead of Steppenwolf, it's Darkseid who lands into the big battlefield at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He was taken out way too easy. I was thinking we need to know why Darkseid's badass, and he was taken out way too easy. It should have been a Sauron kind of thing, because basically the beginning of Justice League is the beginning of Lord of the Rings. You should have just seen, him wiping people out, and it takes damn near everybody to bring him down. But really, it took Zeus and Ares, and that's it.
I made this exact point earlier. The power scaling is fucked.
Now, if it took Zeus and Hercules, not Zeus and Ares, and then the Green Lantern comes in, and people are being thrown and dying as they're trying to get him down, then okay, yeah, they get him away. But you go, holy freaking hell! How are only six people going to be doing this while?
Yeah, and it makes the logistical problem of how exactly do they I mean, even if you're as charitable as possible to Superman and make him godlike, and Diana, of course, is a literal demigoddess, and Cyborg has mother box technology, so maybe that's sort of even.
Let's not forget, the Flash can basically reverse time. I
but
feel like
he
we're
doesn't know that
undercutting the
at this
Flash a
point.
little bit. Well, yeah,
no, he did. He does know that. He did it. He did it twice in the movie, but
yeah, because he was like, you got to break the rule. Like, he knew what he was doing. It was like a rule that couldn't be broken.
My idea, of course, if the heavens are open and everybody's listening, this is going to lead to the DCEU we were talking about, or that we were promised.
Yes,
but if my first scene of the next movie, or whenever Superman meets up with Darkseid, he goes up thinking Steppenwolf, throws a punch at Darkseid, and Darkseid kind of, yeah, whatever, man. You're there you go. You're bothering me. This was in every way. Like, I had this little dip. Like, you'll see it when the video's up. But I had this little dip where I'm like, I don't know what I think about this. And then the next chapter, best thing ever. And by the end of the movie, holy hell!
Make sure you put the full thing behind a Patreon wall.
Yeah, right.
Well, everything about, you're absolutely right, because there are some scenes where it does lag a little in comparison, but every time, each scene that is in there feels more important than it did when it was in the 2017 league.
In the first chapter, when I'm talking about the first chapter, I mentioned how I feel Superman's loss more in this movie, even though he's, at the beginning they have that everybody knows while they show all the stuff about Superman being gone. That was in the theatrical, and I felt less emotion for that than I did in this one when they had less Superman in it, but what they had was more impactful. Yeah.
Oh no, definitely. I got that even from so I remember in the theatrical, I haven't seen the theatrical version since I think 2019. But I remember they did like the scene where Martha and Lois meet, and there's some lame joke in there. Martha says about how Superman was thirsty it was just really cringy. But then they have the scene in this one where Martha and Lois meet, and you just got so much more emotional impact from that. I mean, yeah, it's like
they changed that, if I read correctly, because that's not Martha.
Oh yeah, but you didn't know that at first.
So we're at the spoiler point of the.
We're 48 minutes in.
Yeah, we've been spoiling.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo! I was like,
he looks good.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. Even at the ending, I love Ben Affleck's take on that scene. It wasn't like, "Who are you?" It was like, "And who are you again? Alien on my doorstep." That it's
and then he flies off, and Ben's just like, "I guess I'll see you around then."
Yeah, I loved his nonchalantness. Like, okay, yeah, I guess that's where we stand now. We've got aliens flying to my house.
Well, I mean, this is a Batman who has seen and done most of the important story arcs of Batman. So one assumes he's just kind of taking all this on the chin, sort of thing of like, this is not even the weirdest day I've had.
Yeah, it's it was a lot of fun. I love this film. In all honesty, I wished part 2 was around because I wanted to fire it up right now. I don't want to wait 2 years. I don't want to wait 3 years. I don't want to wait 4 years. I want to wait now. Let's fire up the next.
They make a second part of this, which I hope to God they do.
They're
Because
going
I know.
to.
I
They are
really hope so.
absolutely going to. People, just the reaction I saw on Twitter. For once, I read good stuff on Twitter. It just from the reaction there, and that I cannot imagine HBO is not going to get some more subscribers because people are saying, "Holy crap, this is leaps and bounds, something everybody has to see." Some people like me are. I'm wondering, does it actually fit in the top 10, and if so, where? You know, like if I really line this up, I want to watch it again because you know, sometimes you watch a movie and you get all it. It's recency bias, and yeah, I
right,
wanna
and
make sure.
you get the high of, oh my God, I actually saw this.
Yeah,
But-
and right now there's so many superhero movies out there that even number 11 can be excellent. You know, it just it depends on where it falls. But the way I felt after this movie, I was just like, this is here's the thing. I loved Endgame. I know Dalton, you're not a big fan, but I loved Endgame. I thought it was the epic battle to end the Marvel universe. The phase 1. Okay, forget phase 1, 2, 3, 4. That was phase 1. And I thought it worked excellent. I loved it. I thought it was epic until I saw this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you gonna agree with me that this was
no? I loved. I
better
still
than
love.
better than Endgame?
Yes, I will. But and part of the reason is part of the reason is that Endgame, and I've mentioned this before in early reviews. As an into Marvel, that is an excellent film. Absolutely excellent movie. But as a movie standing by itself, it's not, because it relies on you having seen the movies that came before it. You can drop
doesn't
into
deliver on them.
This movie
I
actually
disagree, but
this
ahead.
movie had their own end game in the beginning against Dark Side.
And it's its own movie. You do not have to watch all of the DC movies to get what's going on in Justice League, and it's still a freaking epic movie.
Yeah, and when you take it in context of everything else, it really just makes you wonder if they had just let Zack Snyder go nuts and produce 4-hour epics from the beginning. How much better off would the DCEU be? Like that's something I mentioned earlier. Like I want to see now the alternate universe where DC, the production company, had more faith in Zack Snyder and they let him make the 4-hour version of BVS and the 4-hour version of everything else.
I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see the director's cut of Suicide Squad.
Heck yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I think the success of this is going to push the Ayer cut maybe a little bit. Hopefully. This. I understand what you're saying. With Batman versus Superman, everybody says that if you watch the director's cut, there's so much. There's just enough of more in there to make it flow better, and I think. That's
and even that was edited. Even that was edited down. So one wonders what the 4-hour version of that would have looked like.
This movie proves that if you let a movie be 4 hours, it actually is good.
Here's the problem. Oh, go on ahead, man. It's your show.
Well, I was just saying, this is the strength of this movie. It has the room to breathe for each character, and they aren't being cut down by anything.
Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead with the problem.
Okay, here's the problem. And this movie, this is the perfect time for this movie to come out. Had they put out a 4-hour Justice League movie into theaters, it wouldn't have worked quite as well. No, it wouldn't have been successful because one of the big things we had were breaks. You could go to your bathroom, you can go grab dinner. You actually had stops every 30, sometimes 15, sometimes 45 minutes. And that was a good place to take a break. Okay, boom, I did a video, got a drink, whatever. You did whatever you had to do. Going to a theater and sitting for 4 hours, I doubt this movie would have been successful.
Well, I don't think theaters are be around much longer. So
that being said, if the setup for Justice League was better, i.e., if they let Zack Snyder go hog wild on BVS and so forth, I think that if the setup was better, it would have felt more like Return of the King situation, because
Yeah.
nobody has a problem sitting there for 3.5 hours, 4 hours for the extended cut of Return of the King, because the Lord of the Rings
but we had
trilogy
that
is
at
such
home.
an epically well handled thing.
It was still almost 3 hours for sure. The Return of the King. I think it might have been just a couple of minutes over, but the extended, the damn near 5-hour version of Return of the King is on DVD, and that's where we got it.
Haven't they released it in theaters since
They might have. I know I've seen the extended Hobbit movies. I sat through a Hobbit marathon in theaters.
Those movies have the exact opposite problem. It needs to be cut down to one movie and also not treated like a pilot for Lord of the Rings.
I'm one of the 5 people on Earth that love the Hobbit movies. I will not apologize.
Watch the Rankin Bass movie from the 70s, and you will begin to understand why everyone hates.
Literally, let me reiterate what I'm saying. When I say movies for 4 hours, if you're going to introduce everybody in one freaking movie like they do Justice League, then it has to be 4 hours. You cannot do New Gods in 2 hours. You're going to have the same problems.
Exactly. That's why before they did Avengers, they had an Iron Man movie, they had a Cap movie. DC did not go the Marvel route. They wanted to go with the easy bake oven, get it now method, which if you're going to do that, you got to do what Justice League did. Give people
You gotta either do the slow methodical thing and allow for the payoff, which I would say that Marvel kind of screwed up because Endgame was subpar, but that's my take on it. But anyway,
there is a rumor. There's a rumor. I want to point out. There's a rumor they're going to do a long Halloween in 12 months long.
I actually was thinking about doing that as videos on every holiday that was in the book starting this Halloween. By the way, those are going to be in the auction. One of the sorry.
I was seeing the tiger books. I was like, I want those.
But no, this is the one thing that you mentioned, of course, introducing 10 or 12 characters. It can be done. It has been done before. That being said, if it's done poorly, you get the X-Men, which is the Wolverine movie. The first X-Men movie, a friend of mine, I was living in Tallahassee at the time, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, this is the best movie ever." I said, "It was okay." Well, what didn't you like about it? Which I enjoyed the movie. It's fine. It's entertaining. I've got it on DVD. But I said, because except for Wolverine and Rogue, all of the characters are only defined by their powers. You don't know who Cyclops is. You just know he shoots ray beams, and apparently he's boyfriend to Jean Grey. Same with everybody else. Nobody has any kind of character except for Wolverine. Well, Magneto and Professor X as well. But there is
the 4 of them. It's the Wolverine, Professor X, Rogue, and Magneto movie is basically.
You can't even tell that Storm is African because she loses the accent every 5 seconds.
Yeah. They did Storm so dirty in the.
All you know is she might really like Madonna and figured she can't do an English accent, so she's going to be doing an African accent instead. So
the good news is in the MCU proper we have Wakanda, so there's no reason not to make her the African quasi goddess that she always should have been.
Well, I think now that we're at the 58-minute mark, I think now's the time to truly address that final fight between Steppenwolf and the Justice League.
Oh. Yes, please.
When you compare, the tone is just filled out. That everything is handled seriously. They aren't making just quips every 5 seconds and like, haha, ho ho, here we go. And
it's the strength of Zack Snyder's approach that he turns everything into a Randian opera mixed with an epic poem. That's kind of his shtick. And it doesn't always work with everything he tries because not everything lends itself to the whole quasi-mythical opera thing. But something like this definitely does. So it definitely benefits from that.
You know, in the 2017 Justice League, which I watched yesterday, right, that morning I watched Zack Snyder's, and then in the evening I was like, okay, I should put myself through this to get a full perspective. When you watch that final fight, it really is just them throwing themselves at Steppenwolf until Superman comes in and saves the day. And in this, each character gets their moment to shine. A Flash, for the most part, he actually is getting ready to help Cyborg, who actually has a reason to be at the mother boxes. And when Superman comes, it's a last moment effort, but that doesn't change the efforts of everybody else on the field.
Well, that it kind of goes back to what I was saying. What's his name? Whedon was given orders to knock out 2 hours worth of material. So what he's left over with a collection of scenes. So he had to shoot pickups that would connect everything. And if you knock out Cyborg's story, you now have to figure out, okay, why is he at the mother boxes? What the hell is Flash doing now that if we get rid of his story and he's no longer going into the Matrix, then what would Flash be doing? Okay, well, we need somebody to save. Okay, well, let's create this Russian family, whom now we have to establish has been living in Chernobyl for some reason. And then they've got to figure out, okay, well, what is everybody else doing? Because we've got to cut out all of this stuff, except for you didn't. I'm sorry. Will you shut up? But they didn't have to cut out everything, but they cut out way too much. Batman is a badass in this movie. He wasn't quite so much in the original theatrical cut.
No, they had Batman on the floor every 5 seconds, and the scene whenever Superman is facing the entire league and just destroying them, it's entirely different. And
that scene definitely, you could see the change between the two films, because like Batman's not lying on the ground cradling his broken ribs going, yeah, this is probably a bad idea. Like there wasn't also like the long stretch play where Batman was like, okay, Lois needs to be here at this time to snap Superman back. The way they did it in this movie with Lois being there and everything, it was much better done, I think.
Yeah, because they established that Lois just goes there.
Right. Yeah. She goes, she gives coffee to the cops, and yeah.
Almost as though Lois Lane should have an independent streak and a defiant streak or something.
I will say the only part I like the Ezra Miller is when he went to go Superman and Superman looks and sees him. And he's like, oh crap.
Yeah. And I don't understand almost how epic it is, because that exact scene pretty much is in the 2017 cut, but it just feels so different.
Well, it's also, apart from even just the editing down, which is a definite problem, again, you have the problem that Zack Snyder's approach to filmmaking and Joss Whedon's approach to filmmaking are actually so diametrically opposed that you literally could not have two filmmakers less well suited to molding to each other's styles, and therein lies the problem. Because Joss Whedon needs everything to be a Joss Whedon movie, and Zack Snyder to some extent needs everything to be a Zack Snyder movie. So you try to fit that square peg in that round hole, it's not going to work.
It really shows that sometimes it's not the story, it's how it's told. And there's no better case than this movie right here.
Yeah, if this movie shows nothing else, it's the importance of fitting the material to the director and vice versa. Because if you don't, you'll end up with a mismatched chimera of a thing that needs to be put out of its misery, a la Justice League.
All right. Well, now that we're rounding towards the end of this, does anybody want to say their favorite moments?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Goodness, Favorite moments. I am almost got to say the epilogue where Batman looks Joker right in the eyes and says, "When I kill you and let it be clear that I will fucking kill you." I just love that moment. I really did. But there's just so many. A lot of them have to do with Batman, because the one scene I really missed was him swinging in and just throwing everything. Him diving off the cliff as it's exploding, and he lands into a shooting position and shoots the aliens. One thing I always thought, when it comes to writing Captain America or Batman action, it all should be one move. There should never be a stop between action. You ever watch Green Arrow or any of the martial arts shows on the CW? Green Arrow is the worst at this, but they would run up to each other like they're about to fight the good guy and the bad guy, and they would stop, and then they would start the choreography.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you guys do this? Especially considering that one of you is an archer. Can you guys do this from like 2 feet away if you're not gonna?
It does. Even if you're running towards the first hit should always be in a running position. Like maybe you slide, maybe you throw something, maybe something, but it always should be so there's no stop or lull in the action. I always believed if you're going to film a Batman or a Superman, it should always be like that. If he's rolling, when he comes out of the roll, he's in a throw or he's in a punch or he's in a kick position. It should never be.
Yeah, Batman does not waste moves.
Right, exactly.
That's kind of the whole point.
That was this Batman. That was this choreography. So I really enjoyed that. As far as emotional moments, give me a Cyborg scene. Seriously, I really just thought it was amazing. The bit where I like the fact that they now gave a little bit like they were trying to stop Steppenwolf from getting the third mother box, because in the theatrical cut it was more like, okay, we're gonna stop Superman, and there you can almost see Steppenwolf go up in the air going zoinks as he's stealing it from him. At least they gave a little weight to it here. So
yep, absolutely. And Cyborg's father in that moment, he actually has some impact in the movie.
He's a bit of a douchebag when it's in the comics, so this was a change.
Well, yeah, but
it was good though. I think that the whole father-son dynamic works better here. I think.
Agreed.
And it led to the epilogue. When we're seeing the moments happening before we get to the nightmare, it's on a tape recorder that Cyborg's father left for him. It's not Lois Lane saying, "Oh, here's hope, and it's a great, beautiful day in the neighborhood." It feels so right.
I only have one question. Did everyone forget about the anti-life equation?
No.
Well, I mean, we have to leave room for a sequel. Which, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Although if they do New Gods in between now and then, that'll help that along, I think.
Do we really think that there will be a sequel to this? That is the question.
If Warner Brothers executives are smart, there will be.
But that's the thing, Zach. Everything since the beginning of the Snyderverse demonstrates that they are not smart, because this is the problem, and this is what I always harp on. It's important that producers and studios learn to have faith in their own material, because every major fuck up in the early DCEU was a result of Warner Brothers and DC not giving the minorest of craps about their own material, and thinking they needed to fix and subdue and ground and basically de-epicify to hell their entire material. And I feel bad for Zack Snyder now, because a lot of that I assumed was Zack Snyder's doing. But now it turns out that, honestly, Zack Snyder probably wanted to do, this whole thing in 4-hour chunks, and they were like, there's no way in hell we're letting you do that. cut it down to hell to 2.5 hours. And every time they did it, it screwed something over. Same thing with David Ayer. Had they let Joker be the villain of Suicide Squad instead of stealing the Enchantress as the first villain from the Justice League Dark for some reason, that would have made for such a better movie, and it probably would have endeared us a lot better to Jared Leto's Joker. And the sad thing is, that, as much as my favorite scene was Jared Leto's Joker scenes in Justice League, but unfortunately, Joaquin Phoenix gave us one of the most epic performances ever committed to film in his Joker, so now he's this generation's Joker in the same way that Heath Ledger was last generation's Joker, and Mark Hamill was the Joker of the generation I grew up with, and so forth. And unfortunately, that ship has now sailed, and no matter what Jared Leto does, he's pretty much doomed to being second string Joker now, because everyone's defaulting to Joaquin Phoenix, as well they should, because he deserves it. But had they let Jared Leto go nuts with Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, as it were, there was at least a chance we would have grown to like him. But unfortunately, the only thing left over from the Ayer cut was the edgelord gang scenes that make no sense. Also, side note, I so much prefer the Joker look in this movie to the bullshit gang tattoos and grill with a leather jacket that is the Suicide Squad Joker.
Yeah,
that's so edgy
amazing.
and stupid. I could cry.
I disagree. Yeah. Jared Leto sucks.
Oh, what? You didn't like this even in the Snyder cut?
What the hell is that shit?
That's him laughing at an apocalypse.
That's him like having a seizure.
What that
is that's him trying to do his version of what Heath Ledger did when he came into the mob scene. The aha, ahi, aha. And that is a problem, and that is one of the reasons why, despite what I just said, I am glad that this generation's Joker is Joaquin Phoenix, not Jared Leto, because Jared Leto did try, I think, too hard to recapture the magic of Heath Ledger. And the thing about the Joker is, if you're gonna give your own iconic performance, you can't pay any attention to the versions before, because if you do, you're just gonna look like you're ripping something off. Because Mark Hamill's Joker is worlds away from Heath Ledger's Joker, and Heath Ledger's Joker is worlds away from Joaquin Phoenix. Jared Leto was stuck halfway between what Zack Snyder and David Ayer needed him to be and trying to be the next Heath Ledger. And unfortunately, you can't try to be the next Heath Ledger. You just kind of got to let it happen like it did with Joaquin Phoenix. Because Joaquin Phoenix, I guarantee you, wasn't trying to be Heath Ledger's Joker. He was just being the best Joker he could be, and it wound up being in the same league as Heath Ledger's Joker, because it was awesome.
As far as them making a new movie, they're not going to. They already decided we're going to go young because they're copying Spider-Man. They're going Batman Year One.
Aren't they? Isn't that set in another?
Yeah, they're pulling the multiverse thing.
Yeah,
and I hope to God
and then unless Ben Affleck's out of rehab, they're not filming another Batman movie with him.
Well, yeah, he's out of rehab. He's doing other movies right now.
Yeah, they Joe. I don't know how his last name goes. The man plays Deathstroke. He was in an interview.
Mangione, I believe.
Yeah, he's got a really fancy Italian last name.
Mangione.
I remember him as Marshall's friend from How I Met Your Mother.
That's right.
It's a small world after all.
Actually, you're wrong. He's actually Elsie from True Blood.
I love brunch. I dare you to say something bad about brunch. Yeah, we're brunch bros. Yeah.
But I remember him saying that he was eager. He wanted to come back as Deathstroke. I don't know if he had brought up Ben Affleck coming in.
Well, he said this whole entire scene was cut.
Yeah.
So no one even knew he was Deathstroke.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say in the same way that that Jared Leto has to compete with Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix. I wish Mr. Mangello luck competing with Ron Perlman,
Well,
because there is not a better Slade or Deathstroke.
Mangello said in an interview, he said he didn't watch Arrow. He doesn't watch the other ones. He does his own version without any knowledge of the other ones.
Well, that's good and all. That's good and all. But again, for my generation, our exposure to Deathstroke or Slade was Ron Perlman. So that's
Where?
fact to follow.
Where did Ron Perlman play Deathstroke?
You talking about cartoons?
Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in the Teen Titans cartoon. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care for the Slade Teen Titans.
He was the main villain basically of.
But here's the thing.
I didn't know it was Ron Perlman. That's all.
No, I would say if anybody he had to compete with,
Manu Bennett's from Arrow.
Manu Bennett, yeah.
And then he's also got the new one from Titans right now. Both are superb.
They are. And you know what? I wouldn't mind even another. I really think that the Snyderverse, though I do have my doubts at times with some of his decisions, I would be down for it. I'm ready to see what's next. Like Englentine, I'm ready for Chapter 2 of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to see it all now. I want to see the Flash movie. I want to see the Cyborg movie that we were promised. I want to see all of it.
Well, Ray Fisher sounds like he's done.
That is true. Yeah,
he did come out but most importantly, I want to see a DCEU where DC doesn't meddle every 5 minutes, because that is the biggest problem. DC is you need to have faith in your material. Get somebody who has faith in your material, whether it's Zack Snyder, whether it's another director, whether it's whoever. Much like with Marvel, and I'm sorry, I'm going to break the rules and compare them here. In the same way that Kevin Feige is a massive geek who understands geekdom, you need somebody who understands what makes DC characters and DC world building important, and then you need to just let them go. Just let them do what they do. I know you don't understand that. I know you think it's cringy. I know you're still in the old fashioned. How could anyone possibly enjoy all this nerdy shit approach? But
I can see wanting
let them do it, and people will come. You'll see.
I can see wanting to hold a little bit back, because let's face it, they let Patty Jenkins do her movie, and she created Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Then they gave her a lot of money and let her do what she wanted, and she created Wonder Woman 1984. So I don't know if I want to give anybody free reign, especially not Patty Jenkins again.
Or Zack Snyder, because if you give him entire free reign, you'll get Sucker Punch.
That's true.
But point being, whoever or whatever you end up doing with the DC universe, you need to stop apologizing every 5 minutes for it being a comic book movie, because that's what the Fox X-Men always did, and it pissed everyone off. That's what every Fantastic Four movie has done so far, except for the Roger Corman one, which had no budget. Stop apologizing for comic book movies being comic book movies, and actually go for it. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing I said about WandaVision. If you're going to do this, don't play fucking games with me. Give people what they come for, and what they come for in comic book movies is stuff they can't get elsewhere.
Oh, okay, wrong come. All right.
But when it comes down to it, you said about Ray Fisher saying that he's done. I think with how he's approached everything, his career might be done. But at the same time, if Zack Snyder comes back to complete his universe,
he's not going to get him, because he's already accusing Zack Snyder and Jeff Johns and all this stuff.
He doesn't accuse Zack Snyder.
He doesn't accuse Zack Snyder.
I thought he was just on Joss Whedon, right?
He was on Whedon and Jeff Johns and that other guy.
Yep.
Honestly, if we're going to be addressing elephants in the room, I think the biggest elephant in the room of whether or not a continuation of the Snyderverse is getting made is the fact that Zack Snyder basically disavowed a large swath of his fan base earlier, a couple days ago.
Yeah, the Geeks and Gamers guy.
Yeah, but no one really cares about that, though.
I'm over that already.
Well, okay, but a large part of the fan base probably is gonna I mean, that is
No.
that is one of the most
No.
ungrateful, sanctimonious things I think I've ever heard. To basically have these people go to bat for you, and then to not even give them the benefit of the doubt that they're not, hateful and Nazis, and just go based on what other people tell you. Mind you, the very same people that told you to go die in a hole over making bad movies, 5 years ago,
Well, he doesn't want to lose his job
are
like
telling you these
Toronto.
people are hateful, and therefore you just fold, Zach. Like, and again,
No.
not to be too much of a stickler, but Zach, aren't you a Randian objectivist? Aren't you supposed to be the one that isn't in favor of altruistic morality? Isn't that supposed to be the whole stick? Or are you just calling yourself a Randian objectivist and never have actually listened to the woman talk when she explained her philosophy, which is 90% of all the Randian objectivists in this day and age. They don't actually care about what Ayn Rand actually said or what she actually thought. They're just looking to be selfish and edgy.
I'm going to be honest. I don't care about geeks and gamers at all.
Me
Not
neither,
at-
but me neither. But the thing is he treated him bad.
Of course he did, but like I said, he wants to keep his job. He doesn't want to end up like Gina Carano, fired and canceled.
And that might just be it. You get a lot of people trying to they say what they're not in order to make sure they keep getting work. That's Hollywood for you. Hollywood, you got to remember, are the left, and the left is hateful, it's bigoted, and it will destroy you if you do not agree with them. It's been proven time and again.
Look, you can be salty and make all your YouTube videos saying he's a bad person, but in the end, he's still got a job, and you're still going to complain.
But the thing is, had he at least stuck to his guns and said, like, I'm not sure if they're hateful or just,
No, he would have canceled.
I want to give. Yeah, but he would have had a fan base to fall back on. That's different. Now,
Still does have a fan base. I mean, there's all the normies out there. None of them know or much less care about this. All the normal people that were.
Yeah,
right,
it isn't a large part. Hold on, Dalton. You've been going for a bit. The you mentioned something about it's a large part of the. No, it's Geeks and Gamers. Geeks and Gamers is in no way, shape, or form a large part of the fan base. Geeks and Gamers is Geeks and Gamers, and they've got a good following. Don't get me wrong, but we're talking about millions and millions versus hundreds of thousands, and that's still a lot. I would love to have their not big fan base. This, most of freaking hell yeah. The most of what you're seeing, and I mentioned this when we were in the thick of it, when I Love Comics was really in the thick of the culture war. I mentioned nobody knows this outside of what we're talking about. I mean, it's thanks to Twitter, it's become more prominent, this whole culture war thing. But as far as comic books are concerned, as far as geek culture is concerned, we are a very small fish wondering how we got into this little mud puddle. It isn't even anything about an ocean. It's so small. Nobody's giving a crap. The movies are so much larger than what we would even hope for as far as the comic book fans are concerned. Geeks and Gamers, I thought he treated them really crappy. And now I've seen their videos. I've heard them. I don't. Yeah, not recently though. And I'm not a fan. Have at it, guys. Do your thing. But I just don't get it. That being said, they stood up for Snyder. They put together a charity before he even jumped on. They had $50,000 in the till. He helped them get 20 more. Before he even jumped on, they did their shit for the charity. And on that same charity, he didn't wait until this was over. He didn't wait and say, well, no, I saw what Geeks and Gamers was about afterwards. Or maybe since they raised all this money, you guys are wrong. Maybe they deserve to be looked at again.
Or at least benefit of the doubt.
But this should have been done, even if he was going to nail him. It should have been done after, and it should have been done off screen, not on screen, on the same charity where they are kicking ass for Zack Snyder. Yeah, I think Zack Snyder was a dick. No matter what you think about Geeks and Gamers, Zack Snyder was a dick for doing that.
And it's indicative of this whole thing about fan culture being detested by the very same people who need us in order to function. Like it baffles and frustrates me that we live in a society where, and yes, Joker meme and haha, but we live in a society where companies are not only allowed, not only expected, not only encouraged, but considered morally repugnant if they don't disavow their most loyal and most ardent customers. That doesn't make any sense to me.
They're lucky I wasn't part of Geeks and Gamers, because I would have said, well, you're right, Zach. We do not tolerate bigotry and hate. And right now you're being a bigot and you're being hateful. You have listened to what other people said, and you have judged a lot of people without talking to them and without knowing them. You need to get off this stage right now. You need to get off this live stream right now. We're not having any bit of it. Have a good day. Click bye. I would have booted Zack Snyder off of the goddamn charity because of what he said, because of the hate he was spreading. Freaking games and geeks and gamers. Yeah. If they let him stay on another 10 freaking minutes, I think they acted like a couple of pussies on that one.
I would have
booted that motherfucker as soon as. I'm sorry for the language on your channel.
Yeah, I would have started spamming him with Ayn Rand quotes and Ayn Rand references, because he claims to be a Randian objectivist. Well, dude, live by your principles, and Ayn Rand would not have put up with this shit by any stretch of the imagination.
Speaking of a guy who wants to shill his channel out, Puppetine, why don't you talk to someone and read some of the comments off so people feel like they're involved in this?
Yeah, yes, we do have Maranya talking a lot. We have hello, Maranya. Happy to see you again. Englantine is when you were showing those comic books, you were making her wish that she had lottery money and that someone could take over as timekeeper.
Right.
Some
of those are staying home with me, but a lot of them are in the auction this week.
She says that the Zack Snyder Geeks and Gamers thing was a huge misunderstanding. People are blowing that nonsense out of proportion. Certain people try to force celebrities into picking a side. They need to stop that nonsense and just support the celebrities who need to be supported. G&G introduced Zack Snyder as their supporter and essentially forced Snyder to correct that.
Did they? I didn't see that part of the live stream. I'm not gonna lie. If they insinuated he was de facto a supporter of theirs, then yeah, that might require. But it still should have been. It still should have been handled with more tact than. I hear these people say you're hateful. These are the same people who said I was terrible, but never mind. And they're saying it about people who were self-repressed and committed fans of mine. But and again, it boils down to the. I don't really care about Geeks and Gamers because I'm not really a big fan of theirs either, and this should in no way be taken as an endorsement of Geeks and Gamers and whatever. But being that as it may, these people went to the mat for you, Zach, and you didn't even have the decency to verify for yourself what these people think or examine for yourself what these people think. You just were told, these people are hateful and alt-right is the other cockamamie bullshit thing I keep hearing, which they're not. But you heard what some other people said, and you immediately jumped to disavow, despite being the most self-repressed Randian edgelord on the face of Hollywood, and didn't even look at the arguments, look at the reasoning, look at the context. Nope, none of that. Ayn Rand would be spinning in her grave if she weren't an atheist who didn't believe in an afterlife. Zach. But that's neither here nor
there.
All right then.
Yeah, I gotta say, when it comes down to it, that interaction, maybe he was a dick, maybe it was a misunderstanding. That doesn't change how I feel about wanting more. And if we don't have more, I can understand that this will be the end of an era, I suppose, with DC superhero movies. But I do want more, personally.
I think it'd be
a
shame,
capstone, though. If this does end up being the end of the Snyder era, this is a nice capstone to it. So
I guess so, but I think it'd be a shame because this is something that
fans
want.
Totally
this
agree.
is something they've been crying for 5 years. and now they're all watching it, and I think HBO or Warner Brothers executives would be even more foolhardy than they've been in the past, and they've shown in the past. It would be downright idiotic.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way about Snyder Cut as I do about Thor Ragnarok. Given that the first 2 Thor movies were shite and needed to be fixed, I'm fine with them taking a mulligan and giving Thor 2 more movies. In the same way, given that most of the mistakes of the Snyderverse were the result of studio meddling and hacking things to freaking heck, and this is the Zack Snyder's Justice League we could have gotten all along. Give him the chance to prove himself again, and this time don't meddle. Take a mulligan. You know, it'll make the fans happy, or what's left of them, and it'll make everyone else happy too. So, go for it. Take a mulligan.
Just give me another Batfleck movie. I want Batfleck versus Deathstroke. They set it up.
Or Batfleck versus Jared Leto's Joker. I want that.
Nah, sorry. Don't care for that.
It'd
make more sense to have him go against Joaquin Phoenix, who's the same freaking age as him.
That's another universe, though. Joaquin
I don't care. We can correct it.
We have an angry Batman on this.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I mean, all they really need to do if they want to do something like that is introduce somebody like Spectre, or God forbid, do Flashpoint, and then boom, we have
We could have done Flashpoint him, but they're changing the time. We caused a Flashpoint.
Yeah, but either way, we can pick and choose what works in each universe and throw it together. Essentially, that would be the best option.
Well, I think we have just about reached the end of this.
Well, not really, because we didn't talk about Steppenwolf fight at the end.
Well,
we skipped over it.
All right,
and I got the whole thing where basically they're kicking his ass. The portal's open. We see Darkseid. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Not only that,
when Wonder Woman gets his body through the boom tube.
Well, no, she cuts his head off, and right? He gets punched, and stabbed.
Was so great. That was so great.
And then Darkseid's just like, really? At that point, though, I was let down. Darkseid should have came through, and they should have fought against him.
Well, no, because I feel like if Darkseid had stepped through...
Give me another hour. I don't care. I want a 5-hour freaking Justice League.
5-hour Justice League.
Weren't you the one complaining the most about the length?
He was.
No.
Angry Batman here is all for more time if this happens.
And I gotta say, I agree with them. But then again, I didn't have any problem with the 4-hour. I prefer longer movies.
Honestly, all they had to do is cut out that stupid dream that Bruce has at the end. Cut that crap out and put in Darkseid more.
I think. Well, no, because Darkseid deserves more. They can't just cut and swap. If they wanted to do Darkseid proper, they basically had to give us another hour. That is the correct way to do that, because one does not disrespect Darkseid.
Also,
like that.
Follow up on where the damn ring goes. I want to know what the next Green Lantern is.
Well, that was in ancient times, so
I don't care. Maybe it goes to Abin Sur. I don't care.
But it does lead to some interesting questions, because if we think about the nightmares. What are they? Because Bruce at one point says they're like premonitions, but are they? Is this a dark future that may be? We don't know.
Actually,
it may be on the future that will. Oh, okay.
Well, actually, no. If you recall, that's the whole future version that Cyborg had when he first attached.
Yeah, no. That's absolutely.
Yeah, isn't that the same premonition? Because that's what he has in Batman v Superman.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the Flash. It was the Flash thing as well. So yeah,
it's Injustice. Basically, that's what it is.
It seems like they're going the Injustice route, which does make sense because that's up Zack Snyder's stylistic alley. It does seem like they're gonna do something akin to Flashpoint, where Barry goes back and fixes it via the time meddling.
But the best scene is we get the Dark Knight Returns, the freaking tank.
That's right at the end. Yep.
Holy crap! That thing's huge.
Yeah. Well,
that was kind of cool. I said that was kind of cool.
And that's because Zack Snyder is a huge Frank Miller fan about the Batman Year One and all that movies. That's why you're seeing
his stick seems to be all of the 80s sort of deconstructionist stuff is what grabbed his attention.
Freaking awesome.
Well, it's awesome for being able to see it. I'm not sure how good it is for a building a universe from scratch, because building a universe from the deconstruction of another universe gives us stuff like the New 52, and that doesn't work.
And the New 52 is freaking awesome for Batman. You can go cry in the corner.
And for nobody else, except for finally bringing John or a version of John into.
Did you notice that DC only sees me? Nobody else.
Yeah, and that goes back to my rant from earlier. Not every character needs to be Batman. Please, somebody insist upon this to the executive.
Give me all the screen time. Get the rest off.
No.
I want a 5-hour.
Honestly, no joke, for real. I'm like, no offense to Batman fans. Batman was one of the first movies I ever saw growing up, so he will always have a special place in my heart. Not to mention, the animated series and so forth. But we need to see. We've seen enough of Batman. We need to get into the. We need to get into the weirder and more obscure side of the DC universe in the same way Marvel did. And this is why I will always respect Marvel, even if they can't ever deliver on their promises. They do at least try sometimes.
Just spit it out. You want Justice League Dark. We all know.
Well, actually,
with Keanu Reeves.
Fuck you.
Well, there's definitely going to be a Justice League Dark. There's going to be a series surrounding it. That's all been confirmed for HBO Max and HBO
cast
Max.
Matt Ryan, or there will be riots.
Well,
I'm not even joking.
Don't worry, Costy's going to say, Dalton, you're breathtaking.
Speaking
no. Side note, but I would never in a million years. John is not my type.
Okay.
That's neither here nor there.
He's Palpatine's type. He came out of the closet earlier.
Okay. Last thing that I want to mention surrounding the idea of sequels or spin-offs, things connected to it. The actor that played Martian Manhunter, he while he is on the small screen right now on Blacklist, throughout the entire Twitter storm that has been the Snyder Cut, he has been retweeting and quote tweeting things about his Martian Manhunter returning, having his own series, things like that. And so that is at least one person on board with continuing the Snyderverse.
Ray Porter is too, the guy who voiced Darkseid. He's on board with it as well.
Honestly, you know what better? Have Michael Ironside reprise his role.
I mean, yes, always. It's always good for reprisals whenever possible, but I wouldn't take this away from this version of Darkseid. If he's willing to come back, then let him come back.
As far as the voice actor is concerned, okay, yeah, I guess Michael Ironside might work. I mean, but the problem would be the fact that Michael Ironside's pushing 70. Did you guys
He's not going upstairs. Don't worry about it.
Hold on just a sec. Did you guys ever watch Batman 66? There were two animated movies. Great freaking films, by the way. Love them.
Yeah, they're good.
Oh, yeah.
But both Adam West and Burt Ward sounded like they were in their 60s and 70s.
Yeah, because they were. So you have, okay, Robin, we're going to go stop the penguin now. Honestly, let me put in my teeth. Yeah, sure. On the animation, it was Batman doing Batman things, but the voice sounded 70. So
did you still watch it? Do you still enjoy it?
I did, but it's not.
That's my point.
It doesn't work for Darkseid because Darkseid is functionally immortal. However, if you wanted to have Michael Ironside's voice or play Orion in a New Gods movie, or was it Orion, or was it, I can't remember, but whoever the New Gods equivalent to Darkseid was or would have been,
Highfather.
Darkseid.
That Highfather was the.
Oh, I
equivalent to
Thank you.
Darkseid?
I couldn't remember the freaking name. But yeah, you have him play somebody like that who is supposed to be a little older, but still is connected with that sort of mythos, and you have it as an Easter egg for fans. That works.
I just think it's funny because whenever we would talk about Blade, you still get people, oh, they should bring back Wesley Snipes. He's 60 years freaking old.
Ain't gonna still fight.
Here's something to watch. I love John Wick movies, man. John Wick movies are freaking awesome. Watch the close-ups, and I'll tell you what, Keanu Reeves kicks all sorts of ass. Now, watch the running scenes. Seriously, watch Keanu Reeves run. You know what Keanu Reeves runs like? A 57-year-old in shape man, but he still runs like a 57-year-old man. Look, I wish it's untrue. Even if I kept myself in shape, I would be running as if I had done damage to my hips, to my knees for the last 50 freaking years.
Because it is yes.
Old people, and I'm becoming one of them, old people do not move the same as young people. Just stop it with the frickin' Wesley Snipes needs to become Blade.
Becoming.
Maybe now is maybe now is the time to look around and see if we can't find a good actor or actress that's out there who might be able to play these superheroes and superheroines. It's not always a bad thing that they hired some young person. Every freaking time we get a casting call and it's a new actor, the cringe on, shut the fuck. Sorry again. Shut up, because they had a new actor in Superman. Christopher Reeves was an unfreaking known. It's okay to do this, but Lord in heaven.
Christopher Reeves also wasn't
let anyone new prove themselves, you'll never have any old talent again, because eventually, much like with the political class, the people that we know and love are going to age out. Like it happened with like your Marlon Brandos and so on. That doesn't change the fact that Marlon Brando was one of the greatest names in Hollywood for basically his entire life. But imagine if after Marlon Brando died, everyone went, well, we lost our first crop of movie stars. I guess Hollywood is over now. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense.
One question: did you watch the Blade TV series? That's your new actor.
Oh yeah,
it was horrible.
No, I didn't watch the Blade. I didn't watch the Blade TV series.
Beyond horrible.
It's a TV series, and it's wrong casting. But you're not talking about. You're not talking about what was it, DMX? It was a freaking musician turned Blade. You're talking about an Oscar-nominated actor who has done action. If you saw Predators, the man knows how to do action movies, and he can act. Yeah, I'm in. Let me see some Mahershala Ali do this.
Well,
That being said, on the other side of things, there is absolutely no reason to recast Constantine for as long as Matt Ryan wants to play.
No, they got Keanu Reeves, and we already saw he can handle the action. It's fine.
I mean, just like they're going to have Death be Fran Drescher. Who cares?
He's no Benedict days.
He's no.
One of these days, it's going to be like the end of Carrie. I swear to God.
I think that Keanu Reeves can play an awesome mystic. All he's got to do is call Benedict Cumberbatch and say, "Hey, yeah, I need tips on how to play a sorcerer."
What if Keanu Reeves gives up his role?
Have you guys noticed that who's come back? Doctor Strange too.
Now, I know I'm playing Constantine. He's a sorcerer just like you, but I'm wondering, should I wear the pointy hat? I was trying to push the pointy hat.
Is he still a sorcerer without a cape?
First of all, even if all parties concerned were good in their roles, which I am not convinced of in either case, even if either party was good in their roles, Constantine is a street-level conjurer.
So he's a con man.
Doctor Strange is near cosmic levels Sorcerer Supreme.
So should I wear robes like you did in Harry Potter? That wasn't me. Yeah, but the Harry Potter robes. I'm thinking Constantine needs the robes. What do you think? I keep saying they need a wand.
I'm going to.
What if instead of Constantine, Keanu Reeves decides to play the Sandman? Then you have Keanu Reeves Sandman. And he's asking WB executives, okay, what do I do with the fedora and the gas mask and the sleep guns?
Okay, Keanu Reeves is Wesley Dobbs. I would sign up for in a heartbeat. Yes, please. Thank God. That is a thing that totally needs to happen.
I can see the direction on the Sandman movie. Okay, Morpheus, be pretentious. We need you to be pretentious. That's it. Can you be pretentious? And there you go. Yeah, I got it.
This is going to end up like the end of Carrie one of these days. Well, I hope you all know this.
Keanu is Sandman. I need more guns.
and again, if he were playing Wesley Dobbs, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Okay, so I get the diner scene, but when do I come in with the guns, man? Because I'm thinking it's okay that Dr. Destiny makes them all go crazy, but we need a shootout. So how about
if he was anyone in the 24-hour diner sequence, I'd prefer if he was Dr. Destiny. Him as Dr. Destiny wouldn't be bad.
Honestly,
me and Dr. Destiny could karate fight.
Honestly, Keanu Reeves
and
Keanu Reeves is basically Sandman.
Your
realize it's going to be he's going to like stop or shoot, and he just shoots the gun in the air. He goes, no. That's what you're going to
get. Okay, I think
someday it's either going to be I kill myself or I kill all of you. Which of these is more likely?
I know we're playing a magician, but you know what this scene needs? Apples. Can I be eating an apple while I'm karate fighting Dr. Destiny? It needs apples. Let's do that. Like I can go, how do you like these apples?
All of a sudden Keanu was playing an American version of L.
Honestly, if we could get him with just like, just, I don't know, maybe a little less Keanu, a little bit more Johnny Silverhand from, Cyberpunk. We could get that version. Him just chain smoking, just, taking women and having sex with them after doing a concert. Or actually, you know what? If he's gonna be Sandman, he's gonna end up asking. So when does Spider-Man come in this scene?
Oh no. Oh, okay.
I don't want to have to
draw the line.
If that ever happened, I would have to kill him.
I think we have
John Wick or no John Wick, I am killing that bastard.
We have had a good conversation about Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we have had a good torture session of Dalton. We want to thank you all so much for coming, and I'm going to take this opportunity to let my panel shill what they want to shill. Let's start with my less handsome self, England team. Do you have anything you'd like to share out?
Oh, you mean like the 9 hours I spent pushing the video I'm going to be doing and then putting out? Yeah. Keep an eye out for that, as well as the Batman video that I promised yesterday. But we've been dealing with some stuff, as you guys know, and I didn't get a chance to do that. I've been out all day today as well. But part of it was doing fun things, too.
Okay.
For 9 hours.
And tomorrow is the auction.
Yes.
Yay.
Woo!
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you do not know where to go, look up I Love Comics and you will find great deals over at the auction that England team here will be running. Dalton, anything you'd like to show out?
Yes. Hello, folks. I am Dalton Mortimer. I am the Authenticator. My channel is called the Authenticator. I haven't produced a video in an age, but I'm working on it. There's some bullshit with insomnia and depression that needs to be dealt with, but being that is a male, I'm working on outlining video concepts so that when I actually sit down and start making videos, I can just go boom, 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 boom. You can find me on Twitter at the Authenticator, but spelled without the U because Twitter is stupid and won't give me enough characters for the username. You can find me literally just about everywhere else on the internet at The Authenticator. If I have a presence on a given social media, it will be under The Authenticator. Also, I do a weekly podcast with the Brainstormer of Pop Culture on his channel, Podcast Storm. We go over geek news and, anti-SJW stuff and the intersection thereof. And this week, we will probably be doing a review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So if you want more of my thoughts or his thoughts on that, then find your way over there. Also, I'm not sure if it's going to be this week or if we're going to save it for later, but we're definitely going to be talking about that Comicsgate, our white supremacist hit piece that Anglintine and I covered over on his channel while he was narcissistically aggrandizing only the parts of it that had to do with him, but never mind. So yeah, if you want a more thorough breakdown of that isn't just Anglintine focused, then you should find your way over there. Other than that, cheers, guys, and someday I'm gonna go carry on a lot of you.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Exactly.
And that's my thankfulness is gonna be first. The moment I get the telekinesis working.
Zach, do you have anything you'd like to push out?
So I don't have a channel yet, personally. Things might be in the works.
They do cost quite a few money.
Yeah, but I would like to point out and shell out our good friend Ash on Comics. He's been I've been popping up on some of his live streams late Wednesday nights. He has an open mic kind of chill night, so you can hop over there. We talk about cool stuff.
Do you guys do karaoke?
No, we don't do karaoke. Nobody wants to hear me do karaoke.
But we all want to hear Batman do karaoke.
We would.
He already did.
Bat Arnold.
It was in the episode where Wonder Woman got turned into a pig, and he did it as a favor for Cersei so that she would be turned back. It was Am I Blue? Does no one else remember this?
I have no
Angry
idea what
Batman.
about.
While I'm thinking about it, I don't know why that reminded me of this. Everyone's focused on the Snyder Cut. Another great addition. It just got added to HBO Max. Superman, the animated series, is on HBO Max now. I'm going to go watch the Snyder Cut a second time, but then after that, I'm going to start watching Superman, the animated series.
And then, after you watch Superman the Animated Series, be sure to check out the Superman the Animated Series Season 1 review here on I Love Puppets.
Yeah!
And I got a little chill out, too.
That'll be fun.
Now, Bat Arnold, do you have anything you'd like to push out?
I don't know who Bat Arnold is, but I just want to say, hi, I'm Batman. I'd like to talk to you in a moment about an awesome channel I found out, Extreme Movie Show, which I'm not part of whatsoever. And I just want to let you know that you should be watching it. There's an awesome Resident Alien review coming up at least on Saturday morning, or at least it's Saturday night, maybe. You can watch it there. Also, check out, they're doing Cold Check the Night Stalker. And what's the other one called? Oh, yeah, Twin Peaks. I don't like it, but you should watch it, though. Also, check out I Love Comics every Monday night. He's barely got issues. And, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, everybody.
Oh, don't forget I Love Comics cover rating videos either. Those cover rating live streams.
I like those. Those are fun.
Those are fun.
Enjoy those, yes.
I was able to go back and watch the Wonder Woman one that I wasn't able to be on and vote for. The Wonder Woman, there was some good covers.
Yeah, I did a little digging. I saw that you were on the Ash Comics channel.
Yeah, I did get on Ash on Comics later on that night. But yeah, I went back and you found me.
Batman's watching you, sir.
That's creepy.
With those glowing white eyes.
You're out of the inner circle.
I want to thank everybody so much for joining us. Make sure to leave a comment later if you're watching this after we've broadcasted. And make sure you're subscribed. We want to give you more content, and we want to make sure that you're able to watch it. So, speaking for the entire panel and myself, thank you, and bye!